Alright guys, welcome back. We got the Crucible, we've got Legendary Difficulty, we got Path 1. I used Gamora here for the Super Masochism Rich Get Richer Yondu. Pretty easy here. Don't want to use Special 1 really, because you don't want to, because that'll give it a bleed. So stick predominantly with Special 2s. If you can get some intercepts, even better. She works out extremely well for this fight. Again, just for the Crucible in general, I don't have time to do a full 2 hour, hour and a half, 2 hour live stream, or 4 hours by the time you do both paths, or 3 or 4 hours, whatever that is. I am going to try and break these up into smaller bunches, so a little bit easier to consume. What I did for this one in terms of planning, there are some spreadsheets going around. I actually had started making my own spreadsheet earlier on, and at the same time, there is a playlist on my channel with every Act 7 boss fight broken down before, from when Act 7 came out. I also did the Karina's 7 for 7 challenge, that's Act 7 with 7 stars. So it's not every single boss, but it's about a third of the fights, or a little bit more than a third of the fights, with just 7 stars. So between the fights that I had already done on the channel and stuff I had done, let's say for the 7 for 7 channel, between those two playlists and some other suggestions, new champions that have come out since, you can see there I did an accidental parry. You do not want to do that. Yeah, I got lots of options of what I can use for these fights. Again, it is a roster scenario. Also remember, you can use 5, 6, and 7 star champions of the same character. So for example, if you have 5 star and 6 star Magneto, I'm sure I'm gonna be using Magneto twice, probably on both runs, because I used him a ton. Technically, you could probably use Torch a couple times, because I think even some of my original 7-star fights Act 7 fights, I used 5-star. Alright, every single node, every single fight, you have to swap out a champion, and once you swap that champion out, you cannot use them again. So here for this bullet time, enhanced shock, stun vulnerability, Black Widow Deadly Origin, I just went with Hulkling. I had no, he's shock immune in case I were to get hit. Really, the fight, you're supposed to go ahead and parry a couple times to put evade charges, then you evade a basic attack like that, and she gets stunned. Actually, with Hulkling, I just ended up playing normal Hulkling style, and taking advantage of the fact that I could hit through her block, get some big special 2s, and rinse and repeat. I didn't really even play the node so much, as I just wanted someone who was shock immune in case I did get hit by Black Widow Deadly Origin. The other thing with these fights is, even if you have the right counter, and even if you've done it before, see, you can just get hit. Sometimes it just happens. So, and luckily with the Crucible, it doesn't really matter if you finish the fight with 100% health or 1% health, because when you swap out, you are going to go back to full. So as long as you can get through the fight, then you're good. And in terms of so having revives is good, but you don't necessarily need a ton of potions, depending on how your play style is. But for certain fights, if you do die near the end and you just need to revive, you can probably just do a 20% revive or 40% revive, and you're good to go. You don't necessarily need to heal up, because again, as soon as you finish that fight and you swap in the next champion, you will go back to full health. So that is a bonus. Again, the big thing here is going out and planning out all your fights, because once you use them, you can't use them again, and you might only have one version of a champion. You don't necessarily have two. There might be champions that everyone is using that you don't have, and that is what's going to happen. There are champions that I've seen that I don't have them, and so I'm just going to go with what works for me, and we'll continue. So the next fight here is a Black Widow Clairvoyant, and I went with Silk here. Make sure your Silk is awakened, or else it is not going to work, because you want to do her mid-combo stun that puts the slow on. Right, when you you do your heavy attack, where you can mid combo heavy, that is going to put the stun on, and it's going to you're going to be able to ignore the Footloose. So that is the main thing here. And other than that, she's got unblockable specials. You do have the evade with Silk just to help you out there, but really nothing too crazy with Silk against Black Widow Clairvoyant. The only thing I did forget on this fight, and it's a good reminder, is I did not have a striker on Silk, and Silk actually benefits a lot from the striker because you can heavy counter into the striker and then heavy counter into a special and get a bigger fury. So this fight just took longer than it could have, and it's not a max rank Silk, and that's fine because I can still get through the fight. I don't need a max rank champion, but I'm going to let the music play out on this one, and then we'll see you at the next fight. All right, next up, we are going to swap in Crucible. Again, this is a newer champion, but I do have her as a 6-star here, and she's going to work pretty well for Venom. Most good Mystic champions are going to work well for Venom here, but I think there's nothing too crazy on this one. There's Foresight, no hit, no mercy. There's really, and there's Thorns. That's what it is. I think I used Black Widow Clairvoyant. You need a bleed immune champion to go ahead against this Venom here. Crucible is bleed immune, so it's a pretty easy option here. You can rotate between, you can see here, and again, it got hit a bit. Not the end of the world. But you can go ahead and rotate between either special 2s or special 1s. Soul Barb is going to take advantage of all the buffs that he's got and melt him down nicely. You can also get some nice damage on the incinerates when you use the special 1 and you convert a bunch of his buffs into incinerates. So you can see, and even the combination of the two, just melting him down. And just bait the special 1s. I hate dealing with his special 2. I'm just going to try and bait special 1s all day long. And another pretty easy fight here in the Crucible. And again, this is the legendary difficulty where there's 2 paths. And there is a toned down version. Like the regular normal version has 4 paths. So less hit to your roster in terms of trying to find champions, but there's nothing. You don't really get any rewards specifically from doing normal. There are rewards you do from getting legendary. You do get access to the objective that is going to get you like a 7-star 1 to 2 gem, and the Deathless Vision piece for exploring either difficulty. So the only way I would do normal is if you're going to solo everything and you want to get a couple extra revives, great. But unless your roster is low, I would just go legendary all the way. I'm probably not even going to bother necessarily with normal. All right, I'm going to swap in Doc Ock. I always wanted to use him for one of these fights. I used him for a lot of fights, actually, in Act 7 initially. But here, I'm going to use him for this Power Reserve and Cramping Green Goblin. It didn't work as well as I was hoping. I have to go back to my original fight and see what I did here. But I just stuck with parry heavies, and that's really all I should have done the entire time, is just parry heavy and just let Doc Ock do his usual Doc Ock things. And I probably just should have blocked a whole bunch more of the special ones. Just see here at the beginning of the fight, I should have just stuck with the same rotation the entire way through, and it would have been just fine. I end up trying to push him. I end up trying to get my special 2 going here, and refreshing the special 1 instead of just going with the parry heavies. But I should have just gone with the parry heavies, because there I lose the heal block, and now I got to rotate back into the same rotation again. I end up doing the fight just fine. There's a wonderful accidental striker. You always love to see it. But if I would have just stuck with the parry heavy game, it would have been done a lot faster. Instead, even here, I do get the triple debuff on at one point, but he's got 2 bars of power, so I end up having to block that, and it's fine. It's not the end of the world, but I'm going to let the rest of the music play out. He worked out great for me, got through the fight, no problem. And that is it for part 1. Again, some of the fights are taking longer than others. I might end up speeding up a few fights. I'll try to keep them all at regular speed, but at least I'll give you a breakdown of what my mindset was going into each one, and we'll continue along. I'm still at this point, I haven't finished everything. I'm just kind of making these videos as I go because I don't have enough room to do all the fights at once, but I will have breakdowns, hopefully, of every single one of what I used for all the fights in the Crucible. So that's it for part 1, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.